You're watching the Manny Fraser Show, where men over 40 learn how to lose fat, build muscle, and dominate life without wasting time on BS. All right, let's get started on some mic'd up with Manny. Got a squat day. We're doing a repetition squat day. There were no squat racks inside, so I went outside. One of the other beauties of having 6 outside racks is that anytime that I need to squat, I can definitely find a rack. All right, so we're gonna do a general band sequence. I like to do this one for warm up my legs. I've already done a couple things already, so this is my last thing, just to mobilize. Or actually, I wouldn't say mobilize. I guess it is mobilize. Mobilize the leg. So I've talked about the general band sequence before. I've talked about what I do for my lower body days. So I'm not gonna go too deep into it. In fact, I'll probably just speed through this. Like I said, I've already done a lot of my warm-up already inside. I started off with some hip circles. I did some 90-90s. Now that the legs are generally warmed up, I'll warm up into the squat. What I am working on today, let's see, doing repetition squat, working up to 385 for 6. Then I'm doing a good morning for 3 sets of 8. Then I'm doing lunges. I'll make them walking lunges with some kettlebells. 15, 3 sets of 15. 50, 1 set of 50 for squats at 135, and then abs. I'm gonna do some. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna warm up to 385 for my squat. Catch you in a bit. All right, so let's get started. All right, we got the bar first. Just do a set of 4 to 6. See how I'm feeling. Generally, I just wanna check in. Is anything hurting more than normal? I feel quite good. All right, let's add some 45s on all the sides. All right, so repetition squat day. What does that feel like? So generally, I like to utilize the repetition squat day as my working on my muscular endurance, because generally in powerlifting, there's a lot of sets of 3s, sets of 2s, sets of 1s, sets of 5. So I'll utilize this more as that rep day to concentrate more on, I want to say, bodybuilding eccentric. I wouldn't call it bodybuilding because I'm not working till failure. My goal is to get into just a basic hypertrophy with a set of 6. All right, so let's warm up there, 135. Let's get checking in, seeing how everything feels. There we go. All right, let's add some more weight. So one of the biggest differences, I'd say, from training now to, I guess, like 10 years ago, for me, let's let you go how I started training. So for me, I remember starting with a high amount of volume. So when I was inside, we would do leg day. We would be a group of like 6 of us, and we would train to 1 rep max of like anywhere between 405. I remember getting about 495. And like training in a group setting is one of the most important things, I'd say, because you probably have the most amount of testosterone in that. So I think that's a big difference between how I train now versus when I was training then. Because when I was training then, I had that group and we were pushing each other. I remember doing Widowmakers. So like the most I got with 225, I'd say my rep count would be sitting somewhere around, sitting at something at like 31 or 32. But the reason I got that is because one of my guys, he got 24, and I'm like, oh, I can beat him. And like just having that like extra push of wanting to beat someone really made a difference. But I'd say those were the best times in terms of training, when I was at the point where I was, every single Friday was leg day, and it felt like that was the best day because it was like Friday, and then we had Saturday, Sunday. I'd be dead after. Like my entire legs were done. But one of the most important things is training in a group, having that group to be able to like push you even further. So I'd say going back 10 years ago, I haven't had a group of people to train with in a very long time. I think that's one of the biggest things. As a powerlifter, I feel like a lone wolf, because you end up really just pushing yourself to a point where you can go. And unless people are following my routine, then I don't really want to follow their routine. I guess I would train with my family. That'd be as close as possible as I get in terms of training and getting into that. But let me get the set done. All right, let's go up. So my goal for this year for my squat would be hitting a 550 squat and comp at my all-time high. About the same weight I am right now. I know I can do it. It's more just putting myself in the position to be able to do it. So following a regimented training cycle, I'm way out. We're in June right now, July. Competition isn't until November, and from there, like I said, the main goal would be able to do like 550 would be my third attempt. I find the squat very interesting because I'd say it's one of those things that you have to push yourself for. And I mean, everything you have to push yourself for, but I mean like that weight's on your back and you choose to go down and you have to get back up, and you got to be like, fight yourself to get back up. So I find like nothing's better than the squat. I used to love the squat, but I'd say the deadlift has probably been my favorite lift, because with the deadlift, it's one of those things where it's like will. One thing I've unlocked is like the will. So a lot of times there are places where I'll fight, so I know my training, I know my blocks, I know how my body works, and I know that if I train a certain way for a length of time and get prepped for a competition, I know I'm prepared for it. So whatever my weights that I select are, I'll do a video on how I select weights, but like whatever my weights that I select are, my main goal with that is that I know that these are within the parameters that I should be at based off of the training block that I had. So like for instance, this is a 9-week block I'm going to utilize to test my 1 rep max, see where I'm at, and then I'm going to use these 1 rep maxes to do my next 9-week block. In that next 9-week block, those 1 rep maxes that I would test will probably be my second attempts in my competition. So like whatever I do in this block, those will probably be my second attempts, depending on how I feel on that day. Because there's times where you don't feel, like you wake up, you don't feel good. And I mean, like there's a lot of things, other factors. I know for that particular competition, it's in Burlington, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. It'll probably be the best thing for me to do to get a hotel out there Saturday night and sleep there. It's just naturally better. Like there's a waking up in the morning, being able to go there. So we'll see. But let me get this set done. I am going to belt out for this one because I have a rule of thumb. Anything over 3 plates and above, just put a belt on. I mean, for the sake of lifting, the last thing I need to do is get a random injury. And I'm not saying that you're going to get an injury, because not, but I like to test, especially because of the fact that as a powerlifter, you train with these things. So like belt sleeves, everything. My goal is to press against the belts, create that internal pressure to be able to do this. So let's get it done. All right, we got one more set of 6. We can go to 385 for this one. So let me put that on. All right, so this one's for 6, 385. This will be my working set. And from here, I'm just gonna do good mornings. Well, not just do good mornings. Move on to good mornings, some walking lunges, squats, abs. It's relatively a short workout because I find I train 4 days a week and I work out every day. I say workout and train. The difference between training and working out for me is working out is just for general fitness. Training is particularly for competition. I have to decipher that because realistically, you should be doing some sort of exercise, working out on a daily basis. There's nothing that can stop you from doing that. I mean, when you think about it, think about intensity. So if we're just talking about just moving your body, doing something hard on a regular daily basis, something that that's gonna challenge you, but not really debilitate you. You can do that daily. I know a lot of times there's a lot of things that it comes down to like training versus exercise. Having a training plan is like training 3 to 4 or 5 times a week, maybe 6 times a week, depending on what you're training for. So like what your outcome is. So if you're outcome driven, let's say for instance you want to be able to compete for bodybuilding, right? And you have a competition, you want to get on stage for October. Well, at that point you're going to have a certain amount of prep. You want to know what your body, because you're doing a body recomposition. So your main goal is to look at what your current body composition is, and then how long it's going to take you to get down to the body composition that you want to be at that stage ready. For powerlifting, it would be strength adaptation. So like what you're looking at is what is your strength. You shouldn't really be testing your strength all the time. I mean, you could. I mean, let's be completely honest, you can test your strength as much as you want. There's no real rule against that, but like if you want diminishing returns, you can't, like testing, is it be better for you to train sub-maximally at 80 to 90% on a regular basis than for you to test on every time. But it also depends on where you're at in terms of your training age. Like if you're brand new to this, test as much as you want. But if you've been doing this for a while, you might want to take it easy. Another thing you got to focus on would be really just how much are you really looking at pushing yourself. So like I said, training versus working out. I work out daily. I'll do kettlebells, I'll do walking, I'll do fitness stuff every day. But for training purposes, I only train 4 days a week, which I'll do 2 uppers, 2 lowers. My 2 uppers right now is 2 bench days. I do a 2 bench day, 6 weeks in testing, just to do that extra, I'll say the extra load to see what happens. I like to see that extra strain. Because when I see that extra strain, normally what ends up happening is that I'm able to push myself even further in my 1 rep max. That's what happens with that stimulus, I find. And also with my bench, you can put 48 hours between benching or squatting or any lower body versus upper body. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna do this one right here. So this one is a set of 6. We're gonna do, this is 385 on the bar. Let's get started. All right. And that sucked. All right, let's get some good mornings done. All right, let's dance. Down for 8, let's go. Eight. Say good mornings are one of those ones that a lot of people don't do anymore. They have a lot of positive effects on the benefits of good mornings. It helps you work to stabilize the muscle in your low back. Think about one of the biggest problems that people have in a squat as they go down. They're trying to keep that back straight. Now, you have no thoracic extension or thoracic strength, you're not gonna be able to keep that back straight. So for a lot of people, they have a weak core, which causes them to round the back as they squat. So the good morning really helps with working that posterior chain, keeping that chest up. And then obviously it trains the hamstrings and glutes. Very classic move that you don't see in a lot of programs anymore. But like I said, I like it. I also like the seated good mornings. Those are fun. We got one more set. And then I got some walking lunges. I'll meet you there. All right. We got some walking lunges. I got 45-pound kettlebells. All right, let's get this done. Man, I hate walking. I always take so much out of you. Let's get 2 more exercises and I'm done. Alright, see you at the squats. Alright, for this is for a set of 50. I'm contemplating whether I should speed this up or keep it at the regular pace. I think I will keep this. Actually, you know what? I think I'll probably speed this one up. But before I get into it, I want to talk about what the main thing you're training here is muscular endurance. Muscular endurance is very important, especially for powerlifters. One of the biggest issues that will come up in powerlifting events is people running out of gas by the end because of poor planning, also not knowing how to properly taper. So like muscular endurance is part of that, because now if you can now keep a high level for a longer period of time, so a powerlifting competition is probably like 4 or 5 hours. Like for instance, I'll start lifting at maybe 11 or 12 and we'll be done at like 2 or 3, maybe 4 sometimes, and that'll be like third attempts. So that's a pretty long day, and you have 3 attempts for squat, 3 attempts for bench, 3 attempts for deadlift, but plus you're warming up, so you're probably getting let's say 6 to 9 lifts before you go out there and give your 3 lifts. So like let's just say, let's call it 9. You got 6 lifts, warm up, then 3 lifts, 6 lifts, 3 lifts. So altogether, if we're saying 9, 18, 24, roughly getting 24. I'd say, like, utilizing scientific principles of strength, I wouldn't want to go over 36 sets. So you keep it in the mind like that everything's a set, then you're looking at it from an entire process of greasing the groove throughout the entire day and utilizing it as a workout. That's how you can keep yourself at a high level going through an entire competition. So 3 things. Greasing the groove, so keeping yourself at a place where you're always kind of going through everything. 2 is think about it from anywhere between 24 sets to as high as 36 sets. So your 1 rep maxes count as a set. And so you don't want to waste sets. So you don't want to do too much warm up. And then from there, you want to look at being able to get to the place where by the time that you are hitting that 3rd attempt, it's probably your PR. All right, so let me speed this up and then we're getting into this. All right, we got an EMOM. We're gonna do sets of 10. All right, ready? All right, let's go. All right. So the reason I do abs, like, the main thing is not to train to get a 6-pack, but to get stronger in my deadlift. Like, that's more important to me. Deadlift, squat, bench, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if you have a weak core, you have weak lifts. So I train my core to make sure that I have stronger lifts. I like the ab wheel, it's probably my favorite of all of them. All right, let's go. I feel like that's 10, I don't know. But yeah, the main goal is to work on engaging core. So now when we go into like squat, bench, deadlift, it's not my weakest link. Now mind you, I really don't train my core that much. So, but you don't want it to be the reason why things get out of control. All right, 2, 1. Almost there. Oh man. Ooh, muscle cramp. So the question is, how much do you do? I go until my abdominals start yelling at me and they start saying overwork, overwork, overwork. So I just felt like a spasm. So, I mean, that's my protocol. It doesn't have to be yours. You can keep going until it hurts. This for me, that's it. It's supposed to be 60. Pulling it off at 35. Call it right there. So I mean, the biggest thing that you're looking at training legs, you see that wasn't that long. We went through the squat, good mornings, lunges, squat again, and abs. And I mean, like, that's it. I got 2 lower body days though. So like, you'll catch me again on my deadlift day on Friday. But for the most part, like, that was my leg day. So thanks for tuning in. I'm right up with Manny. Catch me on the next one. Man, I'm tired. Training outside was definitely a lot harder than before. There's a smog warning. Also, it is very hot outside. So I'm sweating a lot more than normal. I definitely got to eat some food. But thanks for tuning in. If you got something out of this, subscribe, send it to a friend, send some notifications. I'll drop another video just explaining more about what is the importance of periodization and breaking it down. If this hit you hard like it should, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and watch the next video. Don't just get fit, get powerful.